got a story to tell, and this is it's a true story. It might be something that might cause you to feel a little sympathetic or emotional, but it's not about me. I'm in the story, but this is about a man from Los Angeles, and his name is Eris. Now, Eris, at one time, was a homeless veteran, and he had anxiety issues. He had all kinds of other things that I never really found out what was going on with him, except I knew there was something going on. And as a veteran employment rep, helping veterans like that to find jobs, was part of my job to get it done. So the way we went about it is that I looked at his needs, and I wanted to find out what he wanted to do. And the first thing that always came out of their mouth was, I need a job. Tell me, I need a job. Please give me a job. And usually that's 100% relevant, and it's also 100% expected. But the problem is, you don't know about that guy or lady until you can find out how they are ticking. And Eris, I determined, had a few things going on. Now, the problem with mental health in some places is that you run into issues of where everything turns into a behavioral health or a mental health issue, and I don't think that's very genuine. In fact, I think it's rather a problem. So Eris, with that in mind, started asking questions like, what can you find? This is what I can do. This is what I could, I was in the Merchant Marines. I was in the United States Navy. I was in the Army National Guard. I've got all these things. And I said, okay, so what we got? So we were looking at all the things that he could do. And what do you want to do? Well, I can do any of these. Have you applied for those jobs? No, but I like cooking. Good. There's one. Work in a college town like Carbondale, guess what you got? You have opportunities for cooking jobs, but the competition's fierce. Of course, he's in his late 40s, early 50s, and so we've got a challenge there, because he has to compete with everybody else. So he has to up his productivity, and we talked about this. As we talked about this, he started getting agitated at times. He started looking around and, telling stories about himself, things that were completely irrelevant. And so I was trying to keep him focused to see what he needed to do and to completely assess it. And then I left, and I said, all right, we'll start working on your resume. A couple weeks go by, I come back and see him again, and the homeless shelter he was staying in loved him, absolutely loved him, because he was a little bit OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, and he had to clean everything. He wouldn't sleep at night. He was so anxious and had to do so many things. It was driving him crazy that things weren't clean. And so he cleaned and he cleaned and he cleaned and he cleaned and he cleaned, and he didn't sleep. And he would wake up later in the morning, and when he got in those late times of the morning, he would be absolutely terrible to work with. So he couldn't hold an early job because of that very problem. Now, of course, the homeless shelter used him. They used his services, they used his thing, because this was part and parcel to him living there, and it was a great trade-off for them. But for him, it just kind of fed the need. And then we found him a job. And it lasted 30 days. And he called me, he said, sir, he always called me sir, never could call me by the first name, sir, we have this problem. I said, what's the problem? I said, I've lost my job. So this was the first job of 5. And it would always be the same thing. Well, the boss didn't understand me. Well, a coworker and I didn't get along. Well, the hours were a little hard on me because of staying in a shelter. Well, I couldn't get to the job. And he came to me one day after he lost another job, and the tears were just rolling down his cheeks. You could see him watering. And he said, I don't know what to do, but I need to work. I said, well, where's all the money going that you've got right now? And he said, well, I sent it to my wife. I went, your wife? What do you mean your wife? I have a wife. Where does she live? She's in Peru. Oh. When did you get married? I asked. Whenever I was in the Merchant Marines, he said. And I've been keeping up with her ever since. And although she's a professional businesswoman, I feel obligated to send her half of everything I make. So here's this guy. Great guy, sweetheart of a man, looks like a Latino Mr. Clean, and he's suffering because he must give everything he's got and yet live almost in a homeless state or being homeless. And that had been going on for over 15 years. So the last job that I helped him with was a job actually at a restaurant in Carbondale. And this job, I say it's my last one because it was the last one of the old Eris. So Eris went and talked to the land or the owner of the restaurant, talked to the kitchen manager. I went and talked to them as well, trying to get them in there because that was one of the parts of the job that I enjoyed, talking about these guys, trying to get them in there. And we found them a job. And here we go again, 30 days into it. He started having problems. Same thing, anxiety, panic attacks, problems with other employees, problems with the boss. And the boss called me saying, I don't know what to do with this guy. I don't want to fire him, but something's going to have to change or I will have to fire him. And I went, okay, I'll talk to him. So I talked to Eris and I said, you have a great outlook on talking with people. You have a great, fantastic way of making people feel good, but you can't hold it. You lack discipline in this, and you've lost job after job after job. And I reminded him that I had cautioned him against this, that you've got to hold things down. Well, finally, it came to the point that I had to be a little harder. And I didn't want to be harder. I wanted to be nice. I wanted to encourage him, but I said, this is it. You've been doing this, I found out, as a segue, over 5 years. And I said, Eris, you have 90 days. He looked at me and said, 90 days to what? You have 90 days to hold this job down. But he said, it's a part-time. I said, yes, it is a part-time. But you're at the homeless shelter. And you have a way to get around. And you have resources. But if you want this job, and you want me to help you find a better one, you have to hold this for 90 days. And you will not lose this job, or I will refer you to another person, and I will never, ever work with you again and help you. He didn't like it, but he agreed to it. So we shook on it, and he went back to work, and I left him alone. Every once in a while I would check in on him, seemed to be fine. And not but 90, but 120 days later, he still had the job. He took the challenge. He did. He took the challenge. And he said, now what? And I said, well, there are jobs at the local hospital in the kitchen. And in housekeeping, would you like to look at that? And he said, yes, because it was an $11 an hour job with benefits, and it would be a fantastic opportunity for him. So in 2011, Eris, using all the skills that we work with and all the skills from the military and that of life that he had going for him, acquired a job at Carbondale Memorial Hospital, working in the kitchen, and he delivered prepared food to patients and brought their dishes back. 2019, he's still working there. He's no longer homeless, and he has benefits. He's still sending half of his paycheck to his wife, Ava, in Peru. But on the most part, I consider him a success. Not because of me, but because he took the challenge and he did the work. I turn back over to the Madam Toastmaster.